Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th, 2020. Here's our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here, too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and, of course, everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chonker. I mean...
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. That's right, everybody. Guess what? We are back after a week off, of course, of not doing the news. We're here. Welcome, everybody, to another NPCs Weekly News live stream. It is March 12th, 2021. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Denuvo making its way to one of the next-gen consoles. We'll also be talking about what's in store now that Microsoft owns Bethesda officially. And, of course, we've got to say hello to a couple interesting things and goodbye to one thing in particular, if this doesn't really give it away, on the Xbox One. Again, guys, it is March 12th, 2021. My name is Travis, and of course, via Discord, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the Kyle. Kyle, hey, buddy.
What's up?
Man, we have not done this in a week. I guess I needed last Friday off just because of some things here, and yeah, life gets in the way because of everything that's going on in this world. So let's just hop right into it. We've got 8 great stories to talk about tonight, so let's just go ahead and jump right into our first one. And this one is from Polygon. Denuvo anti-cheat arrives on PlayStation 5's tools and middleware. Denuvo anti-cheat software has been added to the PlayStation 5 tools and middleware library. This allows developers greater access to add this ubiquitous anti-cheat software to their games, which will prevent hacking and modding. However, some fans have concerns about Denuvo, as well as they should. The tool has 2 main purposes. The first is to prevent piracy of a game, and the second is to stop hackers and cheaters from interfering with online games. The PlayStation 5 program only has the anti-cheat functionality. In Denuvo's announcement, the developer says a number of PlayStation 5 launch titles use Denuvo, but did not specify which ones. Denuvo is not without controversy. However, in May 2020, id Software removed Denuvo anti-cheat from Doom Eternal shortly after adding it to the game after a massive outcry from some players, some of whom review bombed the game on Steam. Players were concerned about the access Denuvo had to their computer and any interference in single-player campaigns. Similar issues have been raised about Valorant's anti-cheat software, which was developed by Riot Games. So, we have our favorite anti-cheat software that we all love, coming now to the PlayStation 5. Of course, I don't own a PS5, but I've been on the other side of Denuvo anyway with PC games. What's interesting to me is that Denuvo is continuing to expand, and out of all of it, we've seen it cracked so many times. I'm surprised that they haven't shut themselves down and started working towards building something different.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially, you think about the big debacle with it, with Doom. What was it with Doom Eternal? There was a big Denuvo thing with that.
That was in the article there. That was just in the article.
So. Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying, no, that's like the most major one that I could think of, and that was just a shit show,
Well, it was. I'm going to try to find the article now, but I think the actual amount of time that it took for the game to be cracked was within a day or two. Let's see. Yeah. Denuvo, Doom Eternal hack. Let's see. I thought they had it. I thought someone...
Oh, no, you're right. I think it was 12 hours.
Let's see. This is from Ars Technica. Apparently broke its own Denuvo protection for Doom Eternal. Bethesda launcher version include DRM-free executable in folder named Original. So...
Oh, yeah. So it was right there in it.
Yeah, so the executable that grabs everything else and runs it is smaller in size, but completely eliminates that. So that was within Let's see. Said it was quick, but it doesn't give a time frame on here on how long it was from release until then. Oh, it's actually day of March 20th. So yeah, they it was day of, like day of launch, that they were able to find a way around it, and it wasn't even that they cracked it. It was that they found that Bethesda had not removed it from the actual release files. So, you know, I find it bizarre because Denuvo is the one that always comes up in anti cheat. I know we hear about Valve
See,
anti
but
cheat. You know,
there's another thing too. The Denuvo anti-cheat isn't nearly as abrasive as the Denuvo anti-tamper. The anti-tamper is the one that causes the most problems, if I remember right.
yeah, and at least that one is what
Because
is
that's what came around first. And Denuvo anti-cheat wasn't around until like what 2019 or something like that.
hmm, probably. I can't immediately remember the
I think it
release
was
date
like
for it, but
2018, 2019, something like that.
mhm.
So
But you are right though. It actually does, like, it does say here, of course, that they are the PlayStation 5 is only going to have the anti-cheat. So that means,
right.
at least on the other side of it, then hopefully it's like, okay, here's a layer of protection, but you're not going to get everything because it's not going to hurt performance, which means they've probably done some testing and actually saw some type of bottleneck introduced. And we know how PlayStation and Sony have been with, their speedy SSDs. We can't have anything slow them down.
Yeah, no
So,
kidding.
yeah, it's not a surprise that we'd be seeing them expand to next gen consoles. I don't know if we're going to see anything like that going to. Doesn't seem like we're going to be seeing anything go to Xbox as an example. I think Microsoft has their side of things locked down pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if Denuvo stops here or makes its way to anything else. But uh, what a choice, I guess. I mean, if that was the necessity for
Yeah.
him to be able to carry on, then so be it. Anyway, moving on here to the next story. Of course, the biggest thing here in the last couple weeks, and Kyle's going to fill us in on where things are at now with it, is that Microsoft closed out their acquisition with Bethesda. Everything was signed off on, and so they finished that just this last week. So Kyle is going to be talking to us about this story here from metro.co.uk about Bethesda Xbox deal is all about those exclusive games as 20 titles come to Game Pass. So Kyle, take it away.
Microsoft has admitted that the reason it bought Bethesda is to ensure more exclusive games for Game Pass as 12 new titles are added. The head of Xbox has given the clearest indication yet the majority of Bethesda games going forward will be exclusive as Phil Spencer emphasizes that the reason for the deal is to ensure high-profile exclusive games for Game Pass. That's very different to the language being used even just a few weeks ago when Microsoft initially implied exclusives were not just a major factor in the purchase. I can sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive because we know that's not true, said Spencer in a Bethesda roundtable event on Thursday. The thing I want you to know is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platform where Game Pass exists. That's our goal. That's what we're doing. That's the root of all partnership we're building, and the creative capability we will be able to bring to the market for our Xbox customers is going to be the best it has ever been for Xbox. He added. Spencer explained that contractual obligations such as PlayStation timed exclusives for Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo would have to be seen through, and games as a service titles like The Elder Scrolls Online would remain multi platform. However, he implies the majority of games in the future would be Xbox exclusives, making it seem all but certain that Starfield, a new IP with no ties to existing platforms, would be an exclusive. The rest of the roundtable was relatively uneventful, uh, with the biggest announcement being the fact that 20 Bethesda games would be available for free on Game Pass from Friday, March 12th. The full list is available online, though there are some that should be definitely checkouts. Skyrim, Doom, Praise on there, which is a great one. Um, Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bethesda did boast that 16 of the games will be available to play through the cloud as well. So that's something to consider, that you will be able to stream them directly to your phone.
Yeah, and the full list here. So we get the Dishonored 1 and 2. We get the original Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 64, and Doom Eternal, not Doom 2016 for some reason. Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Online, Evil Within, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Fallout New Vegas, Prey, Rage 2, and the 3 most recent Wolfenstein games. There are some in here that say they will not be available via the cloud, which means they won't be available for cloud streaming. That's going to be Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout New Vegas, and yeah, just those 3. Everything else will be available for cloud stream and for playing on the console. So that's. Are you really surprised, Kyle? I really got to ask that. Were you surprised that was
Nope.
what this came to?
Not at all.
No. They have become a powerhouse when it has really moved to setting up all of these things, like to actually to put together what they've been making with Game Pass, and they've been so successful with it that this doesn't really come as a shock that
But
they'd be doing
here's
it.
another thing to consider too, and it's something that I've been thinking about. Oh, excuse me. With the new Edge browser that's on the Xbox, it's Chromium based.
Hmm.
So as I understand it, there have already been users that can access or will be able to access, or have accessed their Google Stadia games and their Steam library, and been able to play them through their Xbox.
Play.
So,
Holy
you
shit.
know,
Okay. Holy
this
shit. Wow.
opens
I didn't see that.
the debate up
Wow.
to say, hey, PlayStation, all you have to do is put Xbox Game Pass on your console, and we'll go ahead and release all of our Bethesda games to you. I mean,
Wow. Can you imagine? Can you imagine pairing
something
up
to
an
consider.
Xbox console or an Xbox controller with a PlayStation 5 and accessing Game Pass?
Yeah.
Wow. That's what
Or
a
even,
time we live in.
or another thing, hitting the PlayStation Guide button to bring up the Xbox Guide.
I think there are several
You know,
like
just like
console
there's all these weird combinations just to think about.
I,
Um,
honestly, I think there are several
as a
console
potential.
fans out there that just like felt what you said and are screaming internally. Like they just
Oh,
feel
I'm
this
sure
sharp
there
pain in their
are.
side.
I'm sure there are.
So think about that. Yeah, and Mark,
Yeah.
of course, on Facebook says unimaginable. Okay, so the funny thing though is that we say that, but the original Xbox One and subsequent Xbox One releases came with an HDMI input, and I will say I was one of
Mhm.
those who ran my Nintendo Switch into the back of my Xbox to be able to play it on my TV because we ran out of HDMI ports. So it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
really
no,
shock me.
I remember
You know?
working at GameStop at the time of the release of the Xbox One, and there were customers that were coming in, a couple weeks after having their Xbox One, saying, the best way to play the Xbox or to play the PS4 is through my Xbox One. And I'm thinking, you are just drawing way too much power. But if you want to burn up 2 consoles to play one
That's
game, you
yeah.
be my guest.
And that's just silly to think about that's the way um someone would put that. I felt it was a necessity
Yeah.
for me because I didn't have enough HDMI ports, but whatever. But Alex on here says let's see, says I'm a keyboard and mouse guy for a lot of games, just like I am, of course. And I know you are as well too, Kyle, but you're
Oh,
more of a
yeah.
hodgepodge anyway. But does the Xbox offer a solution for that? Yes, Alex. So with the Xbox One X, at least starting there, and then working its way up to the Series X, there has been support added for keyboard and mouse. The game list right now is not necessarily a large game, like a large list, but there is at least several titles
Think
out there.
about your
Most of them are,
shooters.
yeah, most of them are going to be shooters. So I know Warzone works with it. I did try it on my Series X to see what happened, and I did try. Let's see what else. I did try
I think
Halo with keyboard and mouse on my Xbox as well.
I want to say PUBG does as
PUBG was
well.
the first, yeah.
Yeah.
And who was it? Razer released an actual keyboard and mouse setup specifically that's branded for the Xbox. So if you wanted something that was dedicated directly to the Xbox instead of, unplugging your keyboard and mouse from your PC to move over, then there's an option, at least from a gaming company. You don't have to go throw something together and just kind of hope for the best. It's built to work better with it, but I would assume it'd work PC. But anyway, and then of course Mark here says, and I don't know if he spelled that right or not. I'm sure he didn't. He says sacrilege. So I'm sure it's sacrilegious to think about that coming to, that we could get to that point where you could launch Xbox Game Pass on your PlayStation. But I think because we're at the point now that Xbox cloud streaming is going to be moving more towards like a browser front as well, especially for the roundabout stuff they have to do for iOS and other, like all the different Apple devices. I wouldn't be surprised if you could bring up the web browser on a PlayStation 5 and then just do it that way. See, I wonder if you could do it.
I want to say the whole reason it's working with Stadia and Steam, like I said, is because the new Google Edge, or the new Microsoft Edge, excuse me, is Chromium based. So it uses that Google browser as a base. So there's so many possibilities there. Of course, I don't know if it's going to kill your RAM.
Do you remember? So this is the software equivalent of what Sega did hardware-wise when they had all of the different attachments for the, what was it? That wasn't the Sega Master System. Was it the Genesis?
The Tower of Power.
Exactly, where this is the logical one of stacking one piece of software on top of another, on top of another, on top of another to get all that experience. It's just, they're just learning from what Sega did. So it's perfect,
The Tower of Power was the Genesis with the Sega CD, the 32X, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic 3 attached.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's coming back. It's just logical now. It's not a physical thing. So fantastic. All right. Well, the day that PlayStation Now comes to my Xbox Series X, we'll talk about it then too. I'm sure there will be a flip around. Anyway, so moving on here to our next story, because of course we got more Microsoft stuff to talk about here. We've got this story here from Windows Central, and kind of accompanying what we were talking about there with Bethesda. There's a rumor coming out here saying a short while ago, noted Microsoft expert Paul Thurrott tweeted that Microsoft is planning a series of events in the near future revolving around Xbox and Windows, with the gaming show slated for March 23rd. More recently, through Windows Central's own sources, it seems that the event looks to have shifted slightly to Friday, March 26th, so 2 weeks from now. We've heard that the show may offer a glimpse at some upcoming Xbox games for 2021 and possibly beyond. Details on exactly what this event will contain are scant for the time being, so it may be wise to temper expectations. It may be a tech and platform-oriented event with some smaller game announcements or something more. Either way, given the fact Microsoft just completed the purchase of Bethesda, what we just talked about, and its subsidiary studios, Microsoft has a mountain of momentum it can capitalize on right now. It has a ton of projects in the works between its homegrown Xbox game studios, its partners at ZeniMax and Bethesda, and third-party devs, all for Xbox Game Pass. So there's a little bit more of a blurb down there, but that's really the simple thing to say about that, is that Microsoft is probably going to be having an event here sometime soon to bring us up to speed on what's coming down the line. The last time we heard from Microsoft was, we had something, I think, at the beginning of this year, right? Didn't we?
I think so. I don't remember. Crap.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember here. Let's see.
No, I think it was. I think we've had one more recently than that.
Let's see. I'm checking the event archive here on Microsoft's website. Let's see. CES. No, we haven't had anything. I thought we've had something already this year.
Okay, so I was wrong.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I was too. I thought we had something as well. So I guess everything's on the table right now for what we could see. I don't think we're going to be in this interesting spot to see some sort of crazy hardware refresh. Maybe they're going to talk about hardware availability and what they're doing to address the lack of Xbox Series X and S out there in the market right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see anything related to a couple new games. I really want to see some stuff on Hellblade 2. Especially after beating Hellblade this last year. I'd really like to see some Hellblade 2 stuff. Wonder what else we could hear about. It'd be nice, actually, thinking about it, for them, if they would talk a little bit of hardware. I'd like to actually see them talk about additional vendors coming in to make expansion cards. besides just Seagate. I'd like to see, let's see Western Digital step up. Let's see
Yeah.
Samsung step up. Whoever else it is out there. Let's actually see them. Let's actually see what they can put out there. Because $220 for one of those things is pretty expensive, and I can't expand my storage. I can go get a
But
USB.
it
I can
is
go get a
about
USB
on
3
par.
drive, but
I mean, it is on par with something with that connection, with that fast a connection, though.
it is. It's just silly
So,
that's the connection. I mean, okay, I take that back. If that's the connection that works to offer the high speed storage, so be it. I don't know.
I just
It
wish
feels like the
they
price is
went
still really steep.
I just wish they had more of I don't know, a PlayStation like solution to it. Give me something that I can, insert my own NVMe drive into and just stick into the port.
Yeah, like make some
You
sort
know.
of like staggered adapter or something that you just slot your
Yeah.
own into, and then it interfaces from NVMe to that compact flash express, and then works together. I like that. I actually think that would be neat, especially if you can go and buy one of those half stick like M.2 drives. That way, at
That's
least it's a
exactly what I
smaller
was
profile.
thinking.
You don't need
Hmm.
one of the long ones,
Or
but you could if you
even
wanted.
if you could have something that, had that CF adapter port
hmm
connected to like some sort of miniature ribbon cable to like a bay where you could put like up to two NVMe drives.
Hmm. That
It
would
might be a
be
stretch, but
well. I would think if they took some sort of adapter like that, but then did a double USB connection. So you took up the two USB ports on the back of the Series X and
hmm
use those in tandem, like through a software update. I would imagine have to be there.
oh
Then you
man.
could use those and then get that additional speed bump.
Yeah.
It would bridge them together so that way at least it would act that way. So if you had one expansion card already plugged in, then here's your way to actually plug in a second,
Yeah.
and still get those speeds. But it's going to depend, of course, if the two USB ports combined would be just as fast. And Mark here again on Facebook is like, change my mind. Series X is the best. I don't think I need to. I mean, you could probably see the box up here behind me. My Series X, of course, is upstairs plugged into my TV, which makes me realize I haven't played it in the last couple of weeks because Valheim has been my drug of choice. I need to get back into playing Control, but
Maybe you should try this whole Chromium thing that I'm talking about. See if it works.
I wonder if I could somehow bridge the situation where I can take my Series X and somehow use it as like a Steam link and run Valheim from my PC to my Xbox Series X and then play it on my couch.
See, and that's what I'm saying.
Damn it. All right. I guess there's some experimenting in the near future for me, Kyle. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But I have nothing against the Series X. I think for the size of it, I think for the power that it has in it, I think is great. I believe the only big drawback with it right now is the lack of Bluetooth built into it. So, like, I can't pair my Bluetooth earbuds to the controller or the console to hear audio that way. I also am kind of on like what we've been talking about with the expansion cards. So,
Yeah.
and then for everybody else anyway, of course, it always depends on the platform anyway. I mean, I'm a hardcore PC gamer. Series X has been the thing though ever since I got it anyway too. But it just always varies on there. However, I will say I had to go to Fort Collins this week, and I stopped into Best Buy and look, and they actually have a display unit of the PlayStation 5 there. And I'm glad I'm an Xbox fan and not a PlayStation fan because I wouldn't know where to
It's
put that
big.
thing. It's massive. It's way too
It's
big.
big.
It's way too big. I was showing my wife the console and she was like, "What would you do with that? Like, how would you display that?" Like, I'm looking at it, and she's thinking of like our living room setup. She's like, "How the hell would you put this anywhere?
It's a
This doesn't fit
centerpiece.
in." For the way my living room is designed right now, hell no. That's not a centerpiece. It's an eyesore.
Well, it's so big, it has to be a centerpiece almost.
I would
Even
have
if
to
it's in the
go.
corner of the room, that all of a
That's what
sudden
she's.
all the eyes are on that system because it's just massive. If you lay it down, if you stand it up, no matter what, it takes up a lot of space.
I'll just get one of those D brand skin shell kits if I can get a PlayStation 5 and just make it all
Oh
black
man, those are
instead.
cool.
And of course, Mark had to throw this out there. That's what she said. So fantastic.
Eh,
Alex is adding in here, of course, just as long as your wife or mother or someone doesn't destroy it by pouring water in it thinking it's a humidifier. Damn, I never thought of that one.
oh
Although
yeah,
I will
yeah.
say that while that one looks like a humidifier, I would say the Series X looks like a humidifier. I mean, look at the
Oh
screenshot we got here below Kyle and I. I mean, you look at the Xbox Series X there, it looks like a modern humidifier. Like if someone like from Dyson, that's it. The
like an oil
vacuum, yeah.
diffuser or something.
It looks like yeah, like an essential oil diffuser or a humidifier, like the little desktop ones you'd get, like it's something Dyson would make. So yeah, thank God mine is put away
It
in a
doesn't
cabinet that my
purify
kids
the
can't
air.
get to.
There's no way Dyson makes it.
No. The only thing that it purifies is, well, no, it's more like it releases a demon more than anything. You pour water in my Series X, it's going to release a demon instead, and I'm good, thank you. I would much rather that not come out. We'll leave that put away for now. So no water in the Xbox, no water in the PlayStation. Don't do that. But again, the console choice is going to always be up to you. If you're an Xbox fan, Xbox is usually the way to go. Your PlayStation's gonna be that. You got the money to afford both. By all means, go and do it. Or PC Master Race and go build yourself a $5,000 rig like Kyle did.
Man.
Yeah, see, exactly. Anyway, moving on to our next story here. Kyle, you get to talk about this one because this kind of ties into our topic episode from this last week. And this was a bit of a surprise to actually see appear here. So talk to us about this story from VG247 about a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
There's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on the horizon. Emu, publisher of solid rivals of classic games, has unveiled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge today, a side-scroller brawler for up to 4 players. Of course, this was like 2 days ago. But Shredder's Revenge is inspired by the classics, including Turtles in Time, and it's coming to PC and consoles at an unspecified time and unspecified consoles. It looks like it was developed by Mercenary Kings and Flint Hook maker Tribute Games itself, a studio known for the love of classic-leaning arcade-style games. The gang is back to disrupt another one of Shredder's plans, going up against the Foot Clan and Bebop and Rocksteady in the adventure across New York City's boroughs and Dimension X. Though today's reveal trailer is mostly animated, we do get a few seconds of gameplay toward the end, and yep, it does look like a good approximation of Turtles in Time. Shredder's Revenge does not yet have a release date, and today's announcement was light on details, but you can still wishlist it on Steam right now.
Dude, I can't believe it though. Like just the
I
timing
already
of
did.
the timing of us talking about
Well, this was our
talking
number
about
one
this.
like couch co-op game, if I remember right. Our last time we did it.
Oh God, I don't want to go start looking through documents to try to figure that out again. I can't remember. Every
I'm
episode
fairly
like
certain it was. I mean,
might have
Turtles,
been.
and they got the sound effects right. I mean, the graphics look a little bit different, but I mean, they obviously stuck with the arcade aesthetic of being able to throw the foot soldiers. I guess that was more of a Turtles in Time on Super NES thing, throwing them at the front of the screen, because they didn't have that in Hyperstone Heist on the Genesis, if I remember right.
Good question on that one
So
for sure. But I'm excited just to see this. I thought the timing on this just being announced was just silly. It was like, wow, we're talking about, the games that need something, and we're talking about TMNT, and this definitely does look fun. This looks like this is going to be a great one. And it's going to be it looks like, because you're going to be able to spawn all the turtles, that co-op is going to be there. So we've got another game for couch co-op. We got another game for a franchise. This is great. This is good stuff, and I think this is gonna be a fun one for the 3 of us to play, or if we can especially get Brittany on board to play this one with us, and we can stream it or something.
yeah, definitely. I will have to say, if I remember right, the Tribute Games studio, or whatever studio is making it, they are actually the publishers that worked on the re-release of Scott Pilgrim, and I think maybe the original Scott Pilgrim as well.
That's
So
sick. Okay.
this is a team that knows what they're doing with their classic beat 'em ups.
Very awesome.
And
Okay.
they also most recently did the Streets of Rage 4.
Okay. So
So
we're gonna see a lot more of the like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. At least the most recent one didn't really seem like it changed much from the previous
it
version.
it was a direct port.
Yeah. Whereas this, this definitely looks like. I mean, it looks like Turtles in Time got a spit shine, like a nice polish.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, let's see here. So Alex says, looks neat, but the TMT Rescue Palooza game was pretty cool. I thought better than Mutants in Manhattan anyway. And then Mark comes back on here and says, dibs on Leo. So that's fine. I'm a Raphael guy anyway, so I'll be
And
playing
I'm a
him.
Mikey.
See,
So
we're perfect. We just need a Donatello and everything's already covered.
yeah.
All fun stuff. All fun stuff indeed. So yeah, no release date on that yet. No, did you actually, how much did you pay for your pre-order?
For what? I
Did you
didn't
do?
pre-order. It's just wish listed. You can't actually pre-order it yet.
Okay. I thought you said you had pre-ordered it already. I was like, I didn't
No,
see a price
I
announced
did.
anywhere. So
Actually, after you sent the trailer to Preston and I am after watching it, I immediately put it on my wish list.
So you know, as soon as it goes on sale, it's right there and you can get
Oh,
it, or
yes.
at least when it goes on pre-order. Okay. Well,
I
good
will
stuff,
have
man.
it day one.
Of course you will. That's not a surprise with you, man. But good stuff there for sure with that side. Now, we're going to kind of take a step back here in time, I guess, kind of here, and take a look at this from Games Radar. This is actually an interesting one. I'm surprised to see anything about this stuff come out here again. But this one from Games Radar says leaked photos seem to show a PS5 dev kit from every angle. New photos of what appear to be a PlayStation 5 development kit give us our best look at the industry side hardware, which we've been seeing bits and pieces of for years. The new images appear to be scans of printed pages with Chinese labels for each image, including the DFI D1000AA Sony model code that corresponds to the PS5 dev kit. There's a good chance these images originally come from a hardware manufacturer, as we know the PlayStation 5 consumer units are manufactured in China, and the pics themselves were shared on Twitter by WellGamer16. Video game creators typically make their games on computers, and they use development kits to ensure the games run correctly on consoles. While the kit's internal components are designed to be similar to consumer components, they often look completely different from the outside. In other words, this dev kit is the reason half the internet thought the PS5 was going to come out with a big V on the top when images of it leaked before images of the actual console did. I cannot speak today. These pictures offer a closer look at the PS5 dev kit from all sides, including the ports and status indicators across its front panel. The blank dark section in the upper right of the front side is a screen to be used to show the current status and other important info for the dev kit, according to previous leaks. So I'll open up the Twitter here, and we can actually take a look at these, or I can actually just go to the imagery link here itself. We can kind of get a good look at this one here. Let's see. There we go. Okay.
I
wanted to bring us
think
both
it's
up on
cool
this.
that we are actually getting to see the dev kit up close and kind of see what the measurements and dimensions are of it. Because you think
Mhm.
about it, previously, anytime we saw the dev kit, it was usually like someone that was standing in like a room across the hall, and they had their camera zoomed in on their phone all the way. You know, they probably had their phone in an area that they shouldn't have had a phone anyway, and they somehow stuck a picture out type thing. So it's kind of neat to see this.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know necessarily if there's really anything to take away from this. I mean, a development kit is always going to be different than what we see in the consumer model itself. But a couple of the things I can see sticking out here, obviously, I mean, we've already kind of known the shape here. Taking a look at these, we knew what this was just because of all the leaks that had come out so far. But a couple of the interesting things here is that the USB Type-C port in the front, where there is one on the PlayStation 5 on the front panel, this one here looks like it was added in almost kind of like after the fact. Like it looks like it was almost, it looked like it was professionally added in, but it looks more like it was cut in compared to the 5 USB ports that are here on the front. And as we can actually see here on this model at the top, this actually is a non-disc version. This is what appears to be an all-digital version of the PlayStation 5 dev kit because there is no disk drive. If we go through and look at the rest of these pictures here, there is one that came up in another spot. Where is it? Okay, it's not loaded up here. But there was another picture of the dev kit out there that you actually could see the CD drive on. And I'm not sure why I can't see it here. But anyway, so this looks like this is specifically an all-digital kit, though. But you get there's dual Ethernet jacks, of course, on the back for debugging purposes. Your single HDMI, and then of course everything else that seems to reside with it, and some type of access panel, probably for storage expansion or further debugging ports. But yes, this is the PlayStation 5 dev kit. So I'm really glad. I mean, the PlayStation 5 is a chunky boy already, but thank God it didn't come out looking like this, right?
I don't know. I mean, if it came out looking like that, you could at least set a piece of glass on it and turn it into a tabletop or something.
Oh my
The
God,
other one
yeah.
has that wave, so you can't really do anything with it,
And this is where we put our potted plants.
right?
Yeah, no shit. I would actually, this would be kind of a neat thing for like a PC case. I think with this type of design where you could have like, some all-in-one liquid cool, radiators up there on the top where the vents are. But, I guess for the dev kit and the type of cooling, they really need to pass over all this equipment and hardware. Excuse me, this makes sense. This is, the shape of it itself allows at least for that cooling, and I'm sure that this thing is probably pushing way more power than the regular PlayStation 5 is too.
And actually, if you look at the picture of it, the back of the unit, I'm honestly thinking the base part of the unit, that's actually where all your hardware is. The based on the back of the unit, I think the upper deck of it where you get that V, that's all just cooling element. That's just your radiator
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, because you can see that from not only the back here but also from the sides. So it vents in
Yeah.
from the bottom and from the top. Yeah, so you're most likely right that it's probably a motherboard daughter
But
board combo that's probably no bigger than the actual bottom of the tray itself.
but I mean, you think about it, um, in a development unit, it's gonna be running hard,
Mm-hmm.
so you're probably gonna want the extra cooling.
Yeah, I would think with that, because probably what you're going to see happen is that as software updates come out, and before we get to the point of, and I hate to say this, a PlayStation 5 Pro, because it's coming.
I
There,
actually saw a thing for, um, and this is real, PS5 Slim being in development already.
that's not a surprise, and I mean, depending on how they
Yeah.
work out the cooling for it, though,
Slated
too.
for, if I remember right, 2023.
Okay, maybe it'll release around the same time as the next PSVR then too, which would be kind of neat to actually see
That would
those kind
make
of go hand in
sense.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised just with the extra cooling in there, with how much heat those things put out anyways, that is probably in prep for further development as software updates come out to unlock additional things. So that way they don't
Right.
have to continue to buy more and more hardware, or the devs, excuse me, don't have to buy like the next release of hardware unless there's that big change, like up to a PlayStation 5 Pro, which, I would assume would be based on Ryzen 5000 or 6000 series chipset, like Zen 4 probably at that point in time. But with that, of course, talked about, with how heated the PlayStation 5 can get based on the cooling situation there, let's talk about another hot topic. And this is actually the cover story for us tonight. And Kyle's going to talk about this one. This story comes to us from PC Gamer and is talking about a fire at a data center that wiped out all of Rust's EU servers. So, like, they're gone. They're long gone. And this kind of gives some more details onto exactly what happened. So, Kyle, talk to us about it.
Um, as a fire broke out at French data center company OVH's facilities, destroying one data center and part of another, and wiping out Rust's European servers. Many have been caused by, or may have been caused by, a faulty, uh, uninterruptible power supply, UPS, of course. OVH co-founder and chairman Octave Klaba has
Yeah,
said,
that's right.
"Wow, what a weird name! Oh, goddamn pop-up." The fire broke out on March 10th at SBG2, a data center located as part of the larger cluster of data centers at OVH's Strasbourg site. The data center was constructed in 2011 and marked one of the oldest generation units of OVH's current server lineup. The fire then spread to SBG1, which was partially damaged in the fire. The large blaze wiped out potentially millions of websites and destroyed the entirety of Rust's European servers, each of which could serve 10,000 people during peak time. Thankfully, nobody was injured in the blaze, which continued throughout the night before being put out by firefighters. The company is still looking into the evidence from the fire, which engulfed the entire building uh, at Europe's largest server provider, but it appears a UPS may be a prime suspect today. Wow. We
Yeah.
don't have any answers today, but um, yeah, don't have any answers today. What we have is this. We have the alarms about midnight and 47 minutes of immediately we have names of employees come to the part of the data center that had the alarms, and there was a lot of smoke. Klaba says in an update video, there was so much smoke that they couldn't stay in the data center, and 2 minutes later they made a decision to go out of the data center because it's too dangerous to stay. When the firefighters came, they took photos with a thermal camera and saw two UPS on fire, UPS 7 and UPS 8. We had the maintenance of UPS 7 in the morning. The supplier came to change a lot of the pieces inside the UPS and restarted UPS 7 afternoon. And it seems like it was working in the morning when we had the fire. Uh, well, not yet definitive proof. It sounds like the cause of the blaze is becoming clearer by the day. We should have the answer soon, according to Klaba, as video should have captured the initial cause of the fire. Thanks to 300 cameras that we have in the Strasbourg, all of the videos that we have and have started to extract, we have to have all the answers and why it started and how it evolved. SBG2 will need to be fully rebuilt, OVH says, assumedly, as the entire new unit will be up to date technology, while SBG1 will be powered back on room by room once it is deemed safe to do so. As for Rust, producer Alistair McFarlane tells us that the team moved swiftly to get it up and running on new servers, and Poland seemed to be a good fit temporarily. The team is looking to shift the servers once again. Further qu- um, quantity and locations are available, but the Face Punch studio will likely stick to OVH in the future.
Yeah, so back up, back up, back up. If you are one of these people, regardless if you are a gamer, if you're someone who hosts things in a location that is not in your own home, or actually you should even do the same thing when you are in your own home, you need to make sure that you back your shit up. I mean, the fact that Rust EU is gone, basically, like everything that was built up, all of those custom servers and that, anything that was not locally hosted but was hosted there is gone. I mean, that's just that.
I mean, if you really wanted to be safe, you should have a local image, you should have a local backup, and then you should have a remote backup. That's the safest way to have it, right?
Yep. Yep, exactly. And of course, Bark has to go and say, Travis and Kyle didn't start the fire. It was always burning. I did not start the fire in a data center. Okay, that was not me. I was not in Europe. That's not why I took last week off. I swear I don't work for them.
Rust.
I don't even play Rust. No, I'm playing Valheim, okay? I'm playing the Viking side of it, not whatever Rust.
Yeah, us and 5 million other people, so.
Exactly. Yeah, but backups are very important because it lost, because everything there is gone at least. They were at least able to go ahead and get stuff stood up so that way servers could be rebuilt from, I guess, whatever backups maybe people did have. But yeah, considering a total loss for one unit of your game itself is pretty bad. I mean, at least they were all able to recover, or at least able to move things over and get things kicked back off in another location. But here we are, at least with a lot of hard work and dedication to some people not, oh, that's gone. That's just done and over with. But at least nobody was hurt when the fire happened. There'll be more details that'll come out about it. And then Rust will hopefully, the Rust devs will hopefully be better about backups to a different location for all their stuff. To be honest with you, I really hope that they are going to be better about it. So good on them.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. So, next story. That's right. Next story. We're doing the news. Hey, we're doing the news.
Still doing it.
This happens all the fucking time. Like just ADD. All right. So our next story here, our second to last story actually for tonight, is coming to us from Engadget. And this is talking about the Xbox March update adds toggles for old games and kills the live TV guide. Xbox consoles from day one Xboxes all the way up to the Series X are getting a new software update that adds some features and removes others. The Xbox Accessories app for PC, as well as consoles both new and old, will get a patch that adds compatibility with Microsoft's new Xbox wireless headset, so gamers can access all of the available audio controls and even the brightness of its lights. One feature that's going away in May is the live TV listings in One Guide. Microsoft's aspirations for controlling TV via the HDMI pass-through of the Xbox One didn't work out, and live TV viewing isn't nearly as important as it once was, so that feature will join Windows Media Center and Web TV in the great beyond. The One Guide itself will stay for watching TV through the HDMI input or add-on tuner, but without the schedules of what is airing where. However, the big addition that's relevant to current gamers is a new set of toggles for backwards compatible titles. They'll let gamers enable or disable auto HDR and FPS boost on a per-game basis in order to only have them when there's actually a benefit, and they don't negatively impact the experience. Auto HDR is pretty easy to figure out, but it can be more a hassle than it's worth, while FPS boost can up the frame rate to 30, 60, or even 120 frames per second on certain games. Smaller tweaks include the return of achievements to the mobile Xbox app and improvements to the My Games and Apps that more clearly explain what parts you need to install if you don't want to install every possible item for a particular title. I already am aware of one person who's going to be very pissed off about that live guide going away.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be... one of the guys I work with on my team, him and I were actually talking about the Xbox Series S and X, because right now he has an Xbox One S. He plays games on it regularly. Like, he's not a hardcore gamer playing stuff on it, but he does have the things that he likes to play. But he does use it extensively for doing pass through from his set-top box through the Xbox and then up to his TV. So I know he relies on using his Xbox One S for at least being able to kind of be that center hub for things. I don't know about the guide side of it, and I don't know if he has a Kinect or not, where he uses like the voice controls to change channels or anything like that. But that's going to be an interesting thing.
If you didn't get the adapter for the Kinect to work on the S unit within the first 9 months of the S's launching, it became so stupid expensive that it wasn't even worth buying, because really and truly, and it was the adapter was expensive to begin with. I mean, I think it was like a $25 or $30 adapter.
Yeah, because it had to go from like some sort of proprietary USB connection back to like dual USB, right?
Yeah, and you think about it, that's a piece of hardware that that you didn't have a lot of people that used it anyway, and of the people that did use it, they hardly used it at all. Like I used it because I had a day one Xbox. I used the voice commands on it. Didn't really use much else other than voice commands. And it was a convenience thing. But when I got my Series S, it had been out for I think a year and a half, 2 years at that point. Or not my Series S, my Xbox One S. It had been out for a year or two at that point, and I looked into getting the part, and it was like $60 or $80, and I was like,
holy
"Well,
crap.
that's retarded." I mean, most places they don't even sell the Xbox One Connect for $60. So why would I want to buy just a cable to adapt it to my system in order to use it anyway? when all I
Exactly.
was doing was voice commands.
Exactly. And the fact that the way Connect games also tapered off too, where the point like that you could do motion control stuff with the Xbox, move around on things in the guide. The voice stuff was completely replaced because now you've got I'm not going to say it, you've got G word assistant built in. I don't want to trigger my phone or my
No,
my uh
yeah, the
home mini that
home.
I have here. Yeah. And then of course Amazon Alexa is also there too. So you've got voice control support in there, which I love because I can turn off the Xbox on the kids and just say, "Hey, G word, turn off the Xbox," and it does it. It just turns it off.
Well, and
And that was what
the
exactly that it
integration,
did.
with those two softwares and their um hardware that they utilize, um it works so much better than the even Cortana, because initially you didn't have Cortana as your assistant on the Xbox. I mean, I think out of the box it was just a generic voice. I
I
could be
think
wrong,
so
but
because Cortana made her appearance in.
I think it was like 2 years after the launch of the Xbox, or 3 years after. It was after the
Yeah,
launch of
because
the Xbox,
you didn't actually say Cortana to engage it. You actually had to say
right? It was just
Xbox do
Xbox,
this. Yeah, so that's
right?
gone now and replaced. However, yeah, it doesn't surprise me then, that with that, we're talking about that, but getting back onto where we are is that the live TV guide, of course, is going away though. Um, it's interesting to find out, especially you're here later on, how many people are going to be impacted by that going away. I'm guessing
You know,
there's a cost to actually
I
get
I
that,
feel
and
like,
that's why.
and this goes back to me making fun of of the whole scenario earlier, in our conversation tonight, that
Mm-hmm.
it's just, why would you want to waste power? I think people are going to see that it was more hassle to go through the Xbox to get it set up and programmed, to get it to continuously work, or to
Mm-hmm.
communicate and work. I think they're going to find out it was just easier to leave the console off and leave it as just the console or a streaming machine.
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like
you.
that's what it's more being driven to be intended for at this point.
I think the other part of it is that the Xbox One, besides being aimed as like a multimedia device, like an all-in-one hub for being able to input in your set-top box and output that all within just through one system. I think a lot of it was because it was really before HDMI CEC really made it into like TVs as a regular standard, because you had your receiver systems that you could interface all of your things into and control, turning your TV off and on through
Mm.
it, and turning off and on the other devices that you have connected to it too. That was one thing, but TVs probably at that point in time really didn't have that functionality built in, and then it started to
Some
kind
of
of
them did.
get there. Well, I'm just saying though, at least for your standard consumer ones, though, it's like it was
I
one of
get
those
you.
things that was just there as an option, and this just made it easy to control all of those different things. And of course, the dogs are running around again like usual. Um, so yeah, I'm sure it was probably extra processing power for these guys to just not worry about it anymore now, especially because the Xbox Series X has it on there. But it's like, what good does that do? And then also, like I was trying to make mention of there too, is the licensing. I'm sure that for having those programming guides, um, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a cost with it that you have to go,
Oh
because
yeah.
the guides are going to be the same for, like, like if you say Tune Up Cartoon Network, obviously it's going to be the same, through your set top box. It's going to be the same content, or at least it should be, whether you're on Dish or Spectrum or Cox or Comcast or whoever out there. Okay,
Hmm.
whether you're on one of them, it should always be the same. But you've got channel numbers that are different. You've got some other information that's going to be different in there too. Some layout stuff might be different as well, because the channel numbers are not always going to be in the same order. Cartoon Network's not going to come after Nick Jr. or Nickelodeon or whatever. It's gonna fall wherever. So you're probably going to have that, and then you're going to have to get other EPG information though through some sort of like clearinghouse or what have you. Uh, it's just going to be one of those things that was just probably an extra cost, and they probably saw usage was so low that it's like, we're not going to be really hurting a lot of people. So okay, there we go. We cut the feature. It's whatever. And we already knew that HDMI pass-through stuff was dead, or was dead. But of course, we got chaos in the chat. I'm not going to read off everything here because these guys are going crazy. Chris here says, I have 2 Kinects now for sale, starting price $10,000 for those who pay premium price for nostalgia. I think what I need to see happen there, Chris, is I think I need to see you modify one of those Kinects into one of your quadricopters, one of your drones, and go ahead and start building up your own little AI system so it can detect its own objects and move around on its own without you doing the controls. And congrats, I have now given you the idea to start up your own little Skynet. So get to it, and just don't go all Arnold Schwarzenegger on me there. Just see what happens with that. Now, let's close out the news here with our last story, and of course, it's to talk about a lot of money that Kyle has spent, because we know that all of this money was Kyle's. So the last story here is from Gama Sutra, and yes, that's exactly it. If you haven't heard of this website before, this is an actual website. I'm not screwing around here. Gama Sutra. This story is talking about how much money was made on the video game console side of things in 2020, because, we were all home. We didn't have anything else to do. So Kyle, round us out here today. Talk to us about this. How much money did we all make, or at least they make?
Video game consoles surpassed $50 billion in spending in 2020. The video game console market, covering hardware, game content, and service, saw $53.9 billion in player spending last year, marking a 19% increase compared to 2019 before it. This is according to data gathered by Ampere and analysts for a recent released report on the console market. According to Ampere's data, this makes 2020 a record year for video game spending on consoles, with growth felt across all 3 aforementioned categories of the market. Despite gains from a Nintendo Switch, the bulk of the spending still took place on PlayStation consoles. The report noted that Sony's market share was around 46% in 2020, down from 29% in 2019. Looking at just spending on games, Sony led the pack with 50% of all game spending coming from PlayStation players. Analysts at Ampere suspect Sony owes this both to the sizable user base and effective monetization on digital. Nintendo, meanwhile, made gains and now represents 31% of the consumer spending and is quite a formidable force thanks to its continued success of the Nintendo Switch. According to the report, almost $7 billion was spent on Nintendo hardware last year alone. While it saw a substantial growth in its digital business, those gains weren't yet enough to put it on the same level as Microsoft and Sony. On the Microsoft front, the company saw roughly 23% of the $53.9 billion total spending. Any gains it made during 2020 seem to be attributed to the Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions through Microsoft itself, though Microsoft itself tends to be shy about sharing those numbers with the world. While subscription services were a big part of Microsoft's 2020, Ampere also notes that the subscription service business is growing across the board through much of the momentum seen, though most of the momentum seems to be in Microsoft's corner. Because of course it does. Because honestly,
they're doing so
Stadia
well with it.
just sucks. Stadia sucks.
Yeah,
I had it for a while. I played it very little, and I mean, don't get me wrong. They've got the streaming figured out, but Xbox is so much more accessible. They have so much more to it. They've got a real good corner on the market right now.
They do. And I don't think you're going to see Nintendo try to do anything like this. Sony already has something, but they haven't really put a lot of effort into doing much with it. They're really focused more on the core side of what their business is instead of the game streaming part of it. So for Sony to really get their slice of the pie, they're going to have to put more emphasis into PlayStation Now. But I think the article probably said this wrong here, is that it says Sony's market share was around 46% in 2020, down from 29%. I think it's supposed to be up from
Yeah, I think
29%.
up
I think
from
they, yeah.
29%.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's different. It's interesting to see exactly how things did grow this last year, but it's not a surprise because even before all of the supply shortages, started coming up, which we really didn't start to see until August, September of this last year.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, everybody was buying up consoles left and right. I mean,
Yeah.
my sister's like, okay, which console do I buy? An Xbox, a PlayStation, or a Switch? And I'm like,
Well,
well,
and that's
what games do
another
you want to
thing.
play? So,
You had a lot of adults that and a lot of families that they wouldn't normally be game families. You
mm-hmm,
you wouldn't you wouldn't have a game console in their house. And they were buying game consoles because, the kids were at the house all the time.
mm-hmm,
So they had to have something, and it wasn't necessarily cuz, the kids couldn't go out and play in the yard or whatever. They just when people are around each other that much, you know, tends to grind. So I'm
yes,
sure
that is
there was
fact.
a good percentage of people that bought consoles to avoid that grind.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
you've
And that
got
was,
Nintendo making consoles affordable. I mean, we've got the Switch Lite that it can do what a home console does for the price of what a DS, was.
mm-hmm,
So
yeah.
there's so many corners on the market right now that I think we're going to see a continuous increase for probably at least the next 3 years.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Game Pass was really the big selling point, especially for Ultimate, because then where that led consumers anyway, and I mean, Microsoft had already really been doing a great job getting things started up, but I think it's allowed people to be able to play games for one flat rate without having to leave the house, to go rent a game or to go buy something at the store, even if it wasn't a new game, they were still able to play a bunch of different titles, and that's where I really think, even though Microsoft was on the lower end of things in regards to actual total spending on the console, they were on the top side of the subscription services. So I think in reality, that's really how Microsoft cornered it, is because you don't have to leave your house. Here's a library of 100 plus games that you can just go and play. And a lot of these games are still being played, by their community now. And guess what? We're going to launch our new console this year, and we're going to throw EA stuff in with it too. So now you've got even more things to do.
Well, and not only that, not all the games were the greatest on Game Pass, but they changed them all the time. So it didn't necessarily matter if they had a couple crap games on there, because in a month
Mm-hmm.
or two, those could get swapped out for something way better that you're gonna spend 100+ hours
Fuck.
on, and you may
Exactly.
even want to buy it. So
Exactly. Exactly. So it was definitely a big year for consoles. Not only did we have the launch of two consoles, but of course we had a lot of big games that came out this last year that ate up everybody's time. Now we're going into this year with kind of the uncertainty of where things are going to be sitting with gaming, though, too, especially with the availability of consoles and when we're going to start to see normalized inventory. And then whatever comes next in the console world, though, too. I mean, we've got the rumor of the Switch Pro, the next generation Switch that's supposed to be coming out here soon. We've got, of course, the demise of the 3DS as that continues on down its path to becoming a antique, unfortunately. There's a lot of things that are now going on here with this.
this week, Nintendo said they were going to be fulfilling um, repairs through the end of the month, and they are officially out of parts this week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. So,
So, yeah, and well, they
yeah.
ran out of parts early, so
Mm-hmm.
it died a little bit sooner than we hoped it would, and we thought it would, but we knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we knew it was. And it's just going to be interesting to see because remember, Sony at the beginning of the year also shut down manufacturing of the PlayStation 4 Pro, is still manufacturing the Slim in hopes of being able to up
Mhm.
their production output of the PlayStation 5, and we have no idea what's going on with the Series X and S right now either. Although,
Right.
where was I? I was at what store was I at? I can't remember where I was. I think I was in the Target in Fort Collins, and I think I actually saw, even though most of them are usually the online stuff, I swear I was in a store somewhere and I swear I actually saw a box for a Series X or a Series S, like in one of those glass display cases, like an actual legitimate
Really?
one in store. Yeah, first one I'd seen ever. So one of
That's
them
cool.
had it. So maybe things are starting to change. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see exactly what happens.
Well, I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. I just randomly got on. I think it was Walmart actually. And I was like, I wonder if they've got any PS5s and Xboxes. Checked
Mm-hmm.
Xboxes, nothing. Checked PS5s, and it was on there. And I added it to my cart, and it seriously took 3.5 minutes before it said, sorry, but this item is sold out. And it sat there with the little icon spinning, uh, like it was actually trying to load it to my cart. So maybe they figured out something to, you know, help with the queues of people trying to get
Mm-hmm.
consoles, to make it a little bit more fair, to vet people buying consoles as well, to make sure they're not bots. But I almost had one. I mean, I don't know that I necessarily wanted one right now. I've got other stuff to take care of now that I've
Mm-hmm.
got my PC. So,
Attaboy.
but I mean, it it's the fact that I saw an announcement and it was like almost an hour later, I was still almost able to add it to a cart. So there's more availability out there. I
Yeah,
don't think
and
we're gonna need to be looking at scalpers for this stuff.
yeah, and we're starting to round that corner on some of the PC parts too. So like the Ryzen 5 5600X is now
Mhm.
starting to become more and more available, albeit not as available as a lot of people would like. And Best Buy and Newegg and Amazon are doing regular drops of X amount of inventory for the RTX series graphics cards. I don't know what's going on with the RX series, but there are more and more of those that are starting to come out though too. So we
Mhm.
are starting to kind of round that corner. It looks like on inventory availability. That's why we've talked about it previously. That it looks like probably by midsummer we're going to start to see things really balance themselves back out and get ourselves to a level of normalcy for what we have. But yeah, let's see here. So in the last bit of comments here before we close out the stream this evening, so Chris goes on and he's like, "Real talk, I bought a Samsung Odyssey G5. I think that's what he says. G5 32-inch monitor for my gaming PC. I failed to play enough. Paid $280 on Amazon warehouse deal. Did I make out that curve to curve? Um, I'd say it's actually a pretty good monitor, especially for gaming. I mean, 32 inches isn't too bad. Kyle, what's the size of yours? Is yours a 27 or are you at a full 32?
No, I got a 27. I
Okay.
was gonna get a 32, but I was looking at an LG ultra wide with the IPS display. So, and they didn't have it in stock anywhere, not even. And originally I saw it at Micro Center, but I couldn't find it anywhere when I was looking for a monitor, and bought this one instead. So
Yeah, and I need to see this monitor here. The Odyssey G5 is, let's see, so it's a 32 inch. Let's see.
it's a pretty sick one.
Yeah, that's what I want to look at here, just at least in regards to actual specs on it. And to Amazon we go. It is a 144 hertz, 1 millisecond FreeSync premium display, QHD. That's not bad. Jesus Christ, that's a thick boy too. It's like it's
Yeah.
made for the freaking like PlayStation 5. They almost go hand in hand for the size. But no, that's actually a pretty decent monitor, and I like 1440p. That's what the monitor is here that I'm looking at right now. So I think that's actually
Mhm.
a really good choice. It's I think curved displays, for gaming. I haven't played on a curved display before, so it's tough to really provide an opinion on it. But it definitely looks like for the actual specs and the actual quality of what you're getting out of it, looks like it's actually a pretty sweet deal. And I think what's cool about it though too, it looks like it has, um, at least it looks like it has audio, or at least speakers built onto it. So even if you don't use it for playing PC games, run a console into it. I mean, if you need something that you can tuck away
Mhm.
somewhere instead of using a giant TV or whatever, then that might be one thing. Let's see. Let's see. Chris goes on to say, "Just bought my kids Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. Starting to believe it is on the thin line of cat toy or cat cruelty." I don't know yet. I guess the biggest thing probably with that game is whether or not you have anything tied to it to actually get the cats to chase it around, or if the cats are just that bored and want to do that. But it's in
Think
the
of the
grand.
cats. as like a chain chomp.
Yes, perfect. Exactly. They are just, instead of it being a item that you actually go over and pick up like a weapon, they start the game
They're
with you.
just an
Perfect.
obstacle. Yeah.
One of them's a chain chomp, the other is a permanent bullet bill.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Exactly. So just consider it that way, Chris, and you'll be perfectly fine. But I think for some of those, I think they're kind of niche. They definitely look like they're fun. Uh, they're I would say that it definitely looks like it's a fun thing. The investment is just way up there though for it, and it's like you've got to really have that open space, I think, to play a game like the Mario Kart Live Circuit. And of
Yeah,
course,
no, if
Mark.
you've got the space, that game is a blast from what I understand. And kids can have a lot of fun just setting up tracks and stuff for that one.
Hmm.
Just to have a few races. So it gets them active too, in a sense, if they're in fact building up the courses.
Agreed. It really does. I'm going to go ahead and end on this comment here, and then we will go ahead and do our closing out. But Mark went on and said, Chris gave me his original Oculus, didn't clear his browser. That is disgusting. So, of course, with everything that goes on in VR, we're going to go ahead and leave that to your imagination on what exactly is going on with those guys. So, as with everything, that is all the news for this week. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. Kyle, as always, it's a pleasure for you to join me via Discord.
Absolutely.
And of course, thank you to everybody who tuned into this week's live stream. So if you were watching us on Facebook, don't forget to hit that like button on the NPCs page. If you were watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Coming up, probably by the end of this weekend, will be a Valheim once-over by yours truly. I've just got to go in and edit the footage a little bit more, and I should be able to plop that sucker up there hopefully by Sunday. So be on the lookout for that on our YouTube page. Of course, as you're watching us here, you've probably heard about our podcast, anchor.fm/the-npcs-podcast. You can go and listen to all of our audio. Of course, this last week, we not only had our What Are You Playing, where I gave the lowdown on everything that was Valheim, because that has been my drug the last few weeks. We also talked about, in our topic episode, we talked about franchises that needed more games or needed games to return. So go and give that a listen, especially with the news about the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that has also just been announced this last week. With that, of course, thanks everybody for tuning in. We will catch you all next week.
Laters.